Welcome to Plans Are Booked, a podcast for every reader. I'm Molly Galler.
I'm Stephanie Blackburn.
And I'm Caitlin Madison, and we are all in the same room, which hasn't happened in a minute. Episode 114. It's happening. First of all, I got back from Florida on Sunday. What did I do on Monday? I went to Lady Gaga, naturally, after work, directly from my job. So if you haven't gone to see Lady Gaga and you like pop music, even one iota, you need to go see her. She is theatrical. Her voice is incredible. Her dance moves were insane. She was 3 days out from her 40th birthday, and she looks like she's 25 up there. It's unbelievable. The set design, the costumes, the sheer amount of dancers on the stage, it was unbelievable. And I would say the only other thing I've ever been to that rivals it is Eras Tour. And Eras Tour is an hour longer. And in addition to that, Taylor is doing a lot more moving around the stage because that was a stadium tour and Gaga is an arena tour. And so it feels bad comparing the two, but it was incredible. It was just hands down unbelievable. And like the parts of the show where she comes and plays piano, like out further into the audience, unbelievable. Making songs that aren't ballads, piano ballads, like it's no big deal. Like Hair, she sang as a piano ballad. It was incredible. I was very tired on Tuesday. Worth it. So worth it. Then later on in the week, I went to see my former student who I had as a sixth grader perform in the new Outsiders musical at the Boston Opera House. Citizens Opera House apparently is what it's called now. And the only citizen thing that I noticed about it is that there is a special line for you to go to the bathroom if you have a citizen's bank card, which I thought was the tackiest thing I've ever seen at a theater in my life. So Dante played Soda Pop in the musical. The set designs were unbelievable. Like every time somebody was punched, because it's like there's gang violence in the book and the movie. Every time somebody was punched, drowned, kicked, slapped, the music and the lighting like emphasized that in a way that I've never seen before. It was really cool. And seeing somebody who told me when he was 12 that he had a great name for the lights was unbelievable. There were so many people that I used to teach with there because they had taught Dante, and I got to see him at stage door, and he was overwhelmed in, like, the most wonderful way. Like, the cheers that he got at the end of the show, I mean, there were hundreds of people in the audience to see him, and I think most people chose to go to that show because it was Good Friday, so there was no school. So people could, like, really take their time getting into the city and going out to eat and making their way to the theater. I cried twice. It was great. I mean, he had solos in it. The dancing was insane. Like, and the last time I saw him perform was in Mamma Mia at the Walnut Hill School in Natick, which is where he went to high school. So it had been a long time since I had seen him do something. And then Saturday, I went to Hello Kitty night at Fenway Park and froze my absolute buns off. It was so cold, but they have a bunch of new food at Fenway this year. Tried the pimento grilled cheese, got the souvenir water cooler cup that they are doing in the yellow 617 Boston Strong and the green Monster Green. And it literally looks like an old school water cooler like we would have as kids with the cups. And the guy that waited on us was like, I think this is the coolest souvenir we've ever had. So that was pretty cool. The Red Sox are not having a good start, so that was a little tough to be sitting in 40-degree weather, enduring not a great baseball game, but that's okay. And now I'm exhausted. And this week is pretty chill, and then I have a big Wheaton hoedown next weekend, which I have a couple people from Portland staying with me, and then we're doing like there's like 8 of us going out to lunch on Saturday, Molly included. So some fun stuff on the horizon, but boy, I am pooped. I might go to bed at 9 o'clock every night this week. I am so tired.
You didn't talk about the thing I most want to know, which is that you ate this mashup of a scallion pancake and a crab rangoon.
I didn't want to keep hogging the mic. Okay, so before we went to see the Outsiders musical, we went to this restaurant called Dynasty in Chinatown. And the reason that we went is because we saw this viral thing on Instagram where it literally looks like an old school frozen toaster strudel. It's shaped like that, but it's a scallion pancake. And then the interior of it is crab rangoon. It is not on the menu. And nobody, not one foodie influencer told us that it was not on the menu. So Margaret was like, I don't think they have it. And I was like, they totally have it. Like these posts are recent. So when we ordered our food, it's got a huge dim sum menu, which bless this place. It has the like laminated sushi sheet where you check off what you want, but there's another laminated sheet that has photos of every single dim sum item, and it's double sided. There's probably 60 things on the I will say the dim sum menu is only available after 3 PM if anybody decides to go. But this viral scallion pancake thing is not dim sum. And I had to ask the waiter, I was like, "We're looking to get this thing." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, no problem." And we got it. It was the best thing we had. It didn't even need dip. And coming from me, the queen of dips, I'd like to have 3 dips at all meals every single day. I also had the most interesting kimchi I've ever had in my life there. Um, it was very sweet. They make it in-house, and I kind of used that as a dip for some other things because it was not a traditional it was not like it was still fermented, but they put it in like a sauce. It was very fascinating. I can't wait to go back. I'm probably gonna be dreaming about it. I could have ordered that and 1 thing of dumplings and been, like, totally content. We ordered so much food. It was not well planned, but we didn't know. We didn't know that I mean, it is, like, stuffed and dripping. It was so good. So, yeah, I'm gonna sleep for the rest of my life and then host some Wheaton people. What's everybody else been up to?
I am fresh off a trip to Charleston, South Carolina. I went to visit my cousin Martha, who's a very loyal listener of Plans Are Booked. I hadn't been to Charleston in over 2 years. Martha and her family moved there in 2019, and because of the pandemic, it took forever for me to visit in the first place. But this is my 3rd time going. First, I will say I love a tiny airport. Like nothing thrills me more than getting off a plane, walking away from your exit, and you can already see the exit to the ground transportation and the baggage claim. I spent so many years visiting my family in Miami where it is a literal 1 mile walk from the gate to the street that when I touched down in Charleston, I was like, this trip is already excellent because I can walk straight out. We had such a great time. The weather was 75 and sunny every single day. We went to Sullivan's Island. We went to Kiowa. We shopped on King Street. We had so many incredible restaurant meals. And I went to 5 bookstores in 5 days. I will make an Instagram post for all of our followers that has all of them tagged. So if you're interested, you can retrace my steps. It was a blast. I want to especially shout out Sweeter Than Fiction, which is the romance bookstore. It's on King Street. Absolutely incredible atmosphere, gorgeous decor, everything Taylor Swift, everything heated rivalry. Like, if I lived locally, I would have emptied their merch section into my purse. I wanted to get a set of bookends that were so heavy, I just couldn't justify it. They were wooden, but gorgeous. But it was really fun to bop around all of these independent bookstores and support them. And I just want to shout out one restaurant in particular. We went to a restaurant called Renzo, which is a pizza place. They were just on the short list for the James Beard Award. I ordered what's called the Kevin McAllister, which is the perfect cheese pizza. It was unbelievably delicious. And you can order a side of ranch a side of garlic sauce or a side of marinara. And I was like, I'll just move in here. Like, this is 100% a Molly Geller restaurant. And
Caitlin, 3 dips, like I said.
yes, many dips. You definitely have to make a reservation. They're very popular. They were before the James Beard recognition, but it's only more so. And the Charleston tennis tournament was going on while I was there, and the bridge run, which I think happened, Caitlin, when you visited.
Both of those things were happening when I was there last year.
Yes. So there were a ton of people in town, and every place we went was super packed and busy, but it was wonderful. And it felt like a true vacation. A lot of my other trips so far in 2026 have been family related and for kind of not happy or great things. And this was nice to feel like an actual vacay mode. So I'm looking forward to going back again. And it was like the shot of vitamin D I needed to make it through like the final cold stretch here.
It's so weird because New York City's only 4 hours away, but it was 71 and sunny yesterday. I just returned from a little less than 2 days in New York City. I drove down in the rain on Thursday night after a full day of work. Had my dunks in my captain's cup getting me through. I was there for like not a happy visit, but a necessary one. And I will say the highlights were the weather. We got to eat outside every meal.
Oh my God.
Well, we only ate 3 meals, but we got to eat outside.
Count
We went to Mud because that's like a classic. We always have to go to Mud. And then we went to Rosemary's, which she took you to last summer, got to sit outside there. And then we ate at a place called Ladybird, which is all vegetarian. Adorable decor, super tiny. We sat outside. It was a quiet street. The food, they have the bao buns, and they rivaled similar, different flavors. Our beloved
Are you about to say
buns.
they rivaled Brighton Bodega?
Yeah.
That's fighting words.
Yeah. I mean, because they did the cauliflower, like similar fried cauliflower, similar Thai flavors. It was spectacular. And I had a glass of orange wine. And after spending 5 hours going through stuff in the storage unit, it was like the perfect. And then we walked to ice cream begins with a V.
Van Leeuwen?
Yes. Had a mediocre flavor. Pushed myself over the edge. I shouldn't have had it. I should have stopped while I was ahead. But you know, like when the weather is like a light breeze and you just want to walk outside, so you're like, sure, I'll go to another stop. I don't care. I just want to keep walking. Only saw one celeb, and I know it was him now. I later saw was in the East Village, so it was in
I didn't
fact
know
him.
who he was. I had to look him up when you sent it.
Well, if you are as obsessed with Elle Kennedy's hockey series as I am and have been following all the filming, then you would know who that is.
I also love
obsessed later. I'll be jealous at a later date.
I also love that we live in a world where you could like live fact check if he was there.
I'm trying to think if there was anything else. We were outside and that just made me happy. I'm exhausted. I got home after 10 last night. It was a lot of driving. Oh, I went to 787 and got the boozy rum coffee. Well, there's no booze in it. They had to remind me there's no actual booze in it. It's just the beans have been roasted in the booze. So there's no booze. Yeah, that's all I got. I'm tired. It's rainy. I want some soup, you know?
We're going to do it. We're doing a post-podcast ramen for Easter, as one does.
Before we move on from your New York time, Steph got bagels at this place, Modern Bread and Bagel.
Forgot about that.
where she took us when we were all there together. And I had a breakfast sandwich on one of those bagels that if you did not tell me that it was gluten-free, I would never have known it was a gluten-free bagel. And earlier in the day when Steph told me she had one for breakfast, I had like a Pavlovian, like mouth salivating response to learning that that's what she had for breakfast. So I'm elated for you that they came home with you.
That was like my one request. Like I walked in the door and I was like, the only thing I care about doing this trip is we're stopping at Modern Bread and Bagel. I'm getting my dozen bagels to take home with me. And I was so focused on the bagels that it's like I had like horse blinders on. And after I ordered, I look over and I'm like, oh, there's donuts, like there's cookies. Like I know they have all those things, but I just was so set on getting my dozen bagels. It was such a bummer. They had like, I mean, just like a glazed donut. Is there anything better,
Their pastry case is epic, and also when we were there, they have like a latke tater tot mashup thing, like latke tots. I'm sure it has a better name than that.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah,
I do.
and they had like a little bit of Parmesan cheese on them. Yeah, it was serious.
Did I taste them?
Definitely.
Wow. Old.
No, I think you
Hashtag
just
old.
I think the joy you felt in being somewhere where you could eat everything, I feel like you kind of blacked out.
I'm pretty sure you were moaning like into your bagel. And Molly was like, "Do you want to try these?" And you were like, "Sure." Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I had an excellent lox bagel open face sandwich at Modern that I really enjoyed because that's like my go-to. That's my favorite. Do we want to get into this week's book?
Yeah, let's do it. I feel like we've been teasing it the last
We
2
have.
episodes, and so I'm
Do we know
excited to
the
get
official drop date of this book?
it's either this coming, well, by the time this airs, I think it might have come out because we have the strict on sales at the bookstore in the back in hardcover, and they're so pretty.
April 14th is the date it's coming out.
Okay, so
okay.
so in 2 weeks, 2 Tuesdays.
The book is Cherry
Tuesday.
Baby by Rainbow Rowell. We haven't said it yet. And
Yes.
Steph brought this book into our lives.
Yes, I forget when we found out she was doing another book. I feel like we've been waiting a while for a new one, and we found out and we were already excited.
I think you were the one who saw it on social media and were like, "Oh my god, like the title is out."
Maybe. I can't even remember. So I grabbed it off of the break room table the moment it came in, which was probably like a month ago now. Luckily, my coworkers don't all read the same books as me. Our store is very heavy in fantasy, which is fine. I'm happy to wait on those books. I don't need to read them early. So no one was fighting me for this one. So we've done 2 other episodes on Rainbow. We did Slow Dance and we did Eleanor and Park. And this is an adult book of hers. There are adult themes and content. I would say this is her sauciest novel. Agree? Disagree?
Far and away.
Okay. The premise, let me think how to do this without giving anything away, at least in the summary up front, and then if we want to get into spoilers, we can. This is about a character named Cherry, which is short for Cherish, and she is one of 5, and she is a plus size woman who is coming off of a year separated from her husband. He blew up because he was a comic strip creator, and it became a book, and then it became a movie. And so he has been in LA dealing with all that, and therefore they have sort of fallen apart, if you will. We start off the book with her going by herself to a concert and reconnecting with a man she had a crush on back in college. And he is just as smitten to be reconnecting with her. And so from the jump, much to Molly's disappointment, we were entering into a relationship that she thought we were going to stick with the whole time.
I got duped hard on this one.
I don't know how else to talk about this without spoiling things, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a tough one to talk about. I will say, I think I went into this thinking that I was reading like a romance book, and it is not really that.
Can I read a bit about their separation in order to sort of set up the end of her relationship so that
Sure. I think that makes sense.
okay,
Yeah, do that.
This felt very, I mean, Rainbow is real. She writes real stuff. She's not writing some of our lighter fare, if you will, in the romance section. Cherry felt the loss of him so keenly in that moment, as if the final stitch between them was popping, as if he'd been carved out of her for a year, but someone was finally pulling the meat of him away. The list of ways that Cherry's life would be unrecognizable without Tom was too long for her to fathom. It was an uncountable number. It wasn't just Christmas. It wasn't just sleep and sex. Every night that she wouldn't spend with Tom counted individually. Every one was a loss. Why did she feel so awful? Why now? Tom had been gone a year. Cherry had already passed through several stages of grief. Was this the end? And if she survived it, would she be free?
Her writing floors me. It like levels me to the ground.
So I feel like we need to put it out there in the universe if people don't know that Rainbow Rowell also is a plus size person. And so obviously she is probably writing Cherry from a very personal place. Tom's comic book turned graphic novel turned LA film is pretty autobiographical. And the Cherry character is named Baby. And when the book starts, the trailer has just dropped for the film, and Cherry is avoiding it like the plague because she is worried that the actress that they've hired is maybe wearing like a fat suit or something along those lines. And also because she's estranged from Tom, she does not want to watch how they fell in love and how they lived their lives leading up to this unfold on screen. I think that the really important parts of this book thematically are about how she feels about herself and about how that impacts her ability to let other people care about her. And as somebody who's been overweight since puberty, there was a lot of scenes that it was hard. Like, this was not a super fun book to read. And usually her books are like a little more not lighthearted, but have more lighthearted moments or have friendships where the best friend is really funny or, that sort of dynamic that's like a little more rom-commy. And she has very complicated relationships with her four sisters and her mom because they are all overweight people. And one of the sisters is being shunned because they suspect that she has gone on Ozempic, and they take that personally that she doesn't want to be fat and look like them anymore. And in addition to that, she is worried why her sister like would lie and not tell them. She's like, we are genetically disposed to like be overweight people, and the fact that she's losing weight, she must be on Ozempic. I've been on Wegovy for a year and a half. My dad died of renal failure, and 4 out of his 5 siblings had type 2 diabetes by the time they were 50. So I totally get like the for health reasons, I'm gonna do it. And I think it really has a bad rap because there's so many people that have like, I haven't told a lot of people that I'm on it because there's kind of like a shame about it, like, "Oh, you can't lose weight a normal way," or "You're cheating," or whatever people think. And so I've kinda just kept it to myself. But I was reading this book and I really felt, like, compelled to talk about it because her sister that's on it has like a whole section little section in the book talking about like, "I wanna see my kids grow up. It's not about how I look. It's not about disliking being fat. It's that, like, I feel winded or I'm diabetic or all these other things." And Cherry is like, "I didn't know you were diabetic." And so she and her sisters have jumped to this conclusion of like, one of our sisters thinks that we're ugly and that being fat sucks and like all these things, and they don't even talk to her about like, are there health reasons that you would maybe do this? And there's like this realization that happens, which I think is so important for people to read. Um, but I also felt duped a little like Molly did because the way that this book has been advertised and like the blurb on the back, it very much feels like it's going to be more of a romance book, and instead it's like more of a self-acceptance journey that has what I felt like was a very frustrating ending. And that's kinda where I am with it. Like, I'm glad that I read it, but it wasn't enjoyable, I would say, because personally, it connected to some really, like, deep crap that I've felt since middle school, and it's not that I don't wanna read it, it's almost that I think, like, not fat people should be reading it. Like, have you thought about how you've made other people feel through growing up in school, going to school dances, like, have you made people, like, feel like crap? And it's not that she gets, like, super mistreated in this book by any means, but it's all the internal things that she feels and that she's going through that I think would be helpful for other people to read. But I worry that people might not wanna finish this book because they think that they've picked up a romance book.
I just want to quickly say, so you are saying the thing that I said the first time we talked, but the opposite, that this book actually is for me. And that's why I felt like I couldn't rate it because I didn't feel like it was for me. But you're saying it is.
I think that yeah, I think that it is for not fat people because she didn't say anything new to me. And I think that it is new. I think some of those feelings, nobody goes around talking about being fat. You know what I mean? Like nobody like is like, "Hey, I'm obese." Like I don't think I'm getting dates because I'm overweight or like, all of the new trends in clothing, like I can't go to the mall right now because everything's a freaking cut off shirt or a crop top or whatever. Like nobody wants to talk about those things. And I am speaking as a plus size person, I feel like we are made to feel like people don't want to hear it. And so it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I don't know that people are getting this from anywhere else. Like, I don't know that they're hearing these conversations or like knowing, what it's like to like try and go shopping to get a dress to go to the prom when you're a size 14 and Bebe doesn't even carry that. Shout out to Bebe 2003. So I'm just putting it out there that like, my mom for the longest time was like, "Oh, Caitlin hates shopping." And I'm like, "I actually love shopping, but it sometimes makes me feel like shit." So, and like, I'm not going to go with my friends and be able to have like my pick of like everything to take into the dressing room. It's just not going to happen. So, I think that this book is a little bit for people that are not overweight. Not that I think that everybody's going to want to pick it up, but I this book resonated with me in a lot of ways. In some ways, it was, like, hard, and I was like, "Been there, done that," like, "Don't wanna hear about it," like, "I'm still dealing with it," you know what I mean? But I think that other people do probably need to read it.
I feel like I could talk about this for 10 hours, but I'll try to keep it brief. There are a lot of moments in this book from Cherry's perspective that I think anyone who is overweight or in a bigger body has experienced, and people who read it who aren't might be like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that, or I didn't know that. For example, she often has to go to work events or office parties where she isn't sure what the dress code is and if she even owns something that is appropriate enough for these occasions. And because most plus size people cannot just walk into a store and walk out with something that fits, it's not like you can go from work into Macy's and then on to the office party. You probably need 2 weekends worth of shopping at 10 different stores to find something that's exactly right. And she talks about that often, like what to wear to the company holiday party, what to wear to the dinner at her boss's house. She also talks about getting dressed for dates or when she wants to look sexy and squeezing herself into things that are too tight or she can't breathe because she thinks that that is what the man will want to see and will find attractive. And then in a couple of scenes where she comes home with this guy, she's talking about literally not being able to breathe while he's like on top of her because her clothes are too tight. And I think if you haven't had those experiences, you might be like, oh shit, like that's a thing. And it is for many people. What I found empowering about her character is that despite the fact that she comes from a family where people are all plus size, she's actually made peace with it herself. She is more always bracing herself for other people's reactions, but she is actually very okay with herself and has a brightly colored wardrobe with fun patterns and fun colors. And I just want to read one page. This page both made me want to cry and also made me want to like throw my fist into the air because I think it's the most accurate holding of both things can be true. So this is chapter 40. It's literally just one page. The whole chapter is this one page. When Cherry was a girl, when she was 8, when she was 12, when she was 16, she figured that she'd lose weight someday, that she would reach some point and there would be a transformation. That was the story arc of every fat girl in fiction of every good girl who was ever overlooked. There was before and after. At some point, you changed, you blossomed, or tightened into a bud. You assumed your true form. Cherry believed in herself, and she believed in hard work, and she really believed that someday she would flip a switch and she'd master her weight. She put it behind her, her face and body would sharpen into focus, and she would step into the after. She came to her senses earlier than most women. The evidence around her was stark, and Cherry wasn't prone to magical thinking. There was no after, no switch, no amount of hard work or self-control or even self-abuse that would change her. This was her true form. This was the body that would carry her through the world. This was her only vehicle for pleasure. Cherry refused to dream skinny dreams for anyone. That page is the story of my life, literally, on one page, getting to the point where I stopped caring and decided that I would embrace this as the vessel that is the home for my delightful and sparkling personality. And not everybody gets to that point. You can have a lifetime of self-hatred and disordered eating and, pardon my French, fucked up thinking about yourself. This book, I think, is helpful for people who have never had to have those thoughts and don't know what that is like. And it is also so validating for people who do. So I hope this is read widely because of that alone. The romance aspect pissed me off to no end, but the self-acceptance part and the reality of what it is to live in a big body, everybody should read that. Like, we've talked about so many other books we've read about other ways in which people feel marginalized in the world. Being a big person is something that impacts the way that people treat you. And if you haven't lived it, you don't know, because that hasn't been your experience. Just like when we've read about people who are hard of hearing or blind or have some sort of physical disability, it impacts the way that people treat you. And the same is true here. So I hope people read it for that alone, and that it makes them feel more open-minded to the idea that not everyone in a bigger body is lazy or hates themselves or doesn't know what proper nutrition is. There are so many dark, mean things on the internet. And I read this and I thought, finally, someone is talking about what this is actually like.
There was a part early on in the book where she is reflecting on the first time she met the college guy that comes back into her life. His name is Russ. And she declines his request to swing dance with her. And he starts swing dancing with her friend and then rotates over to her and is like, "Come on, Cherry, like, let's do it." And the entire time she's like, he's probably thinking like my waist is so much bigger than my friends and like we're touching bodies in different ways and all these things, and she like can't get out of her like own way about it and like enjoy what's actually happening and notice that he's like interested in her. I had that same exact experience in high school at a dance, and the shittier part about it was that somebody like pointed us out and was like, "I can't believe he's dancing with her. Like, did you see that?" And I was like, and the guy that said it was overweight. And looking back on it as an adult, I'm like, "Oh, he fucking hated himself." Like, that guy hated himself and was taking it out on me and said it loud enough that I could hear it. And it's just like people don't realize that you are enduring, like, little aggressions like that, like, throughout your life. And when you're in high school and you're like changing in the locker room, oh my God. I can't even begin to tell you. Changing in the locker room was so anxiety inducing, getting sweaty in gym, and then there was no opportunity to like actually shower. And then you just had to put your regular clothes on, your sweaty fat body. That's a cool feeling. Like, this book is, I think, going to open a lot of conversations. And I would be fascinated to know. I hope somebody asks her on her book tour if she had this book like, on the stove for a while and had to wait until she was, like, more established to get it published. Because if she came out with this as her first book, I bet you publishers probably would have said no, honestly. Like, I think that she had to be, like, an established voice. People needed to know who she was, what she looks like. Like, if a thin person had written this book, I would have set it on fire, literally. I would have been like, "F this person. They don't know what they're talking about." Like, I would have literally lost my mind. So, I also am going to be curious to see how people talk about this book, because I feel like thin people might tiptoe around it a little bit and not wanna ask certain things, and I'm really hoping that Rainbow just, like, plows straight ahead and is like, "No, let's talk about it," you know? And, yeah, the romance part really kinda threw me a little bit. I was really not on board with a lot of the things that happened, and in addition to that, I really did not prepare myself for what this book was going to be before I was reading it, so but that's not her fault.
I want to argue for a second because while I did not initially appreciate the 180 turn the romance took, I feel like sticking true to Rainbow's like reality writing, the way the book ended is a way that would actually happen in real
Yeah,
life. I think she wasn't trying. I mean, she might have fooled us into thinking initially that this was like a rom-com. But then she was like, "Hi, remember me? I write real stuff."
yeah,
And I feel like I appreciated it. It was not the romance that I wanted. It was not the one that I had hoped for, but I came around to it. So I just want to say to anyone who's like, "Oh, I don't want to read it if there's like a weird thing happening with the romance," I would just say, give it a chance. Maybe you'll find a way to appreciate the romance that happened.
Yeah, I think her style is not tie it up with a bow and never has been. So it in a way, even though I was rooting for a particular outcome, it would have been weird if she had done that in this case. I think it feels authentic to her style and the stories she likes to tell. And I do think it's likely that this is how this would have gone down in real life. And the messiness, okay, I'm just going to say spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't want to know anything, and I'm going to try to dance around it a little bit. Her ex-husband returns at some point to the town where they had lived together, and they start spending time together as he is boxing up his things. And you learn a lot about their relationship in that process, about how they talk to each other, about the things that they find nostalgic, about the memories they share, about certain paintings or signs hanging in their house or dishware or VHS tapes or whatever the case may be. You're kind of learning about their relationship through them boxing up their stuff. And as is typical of every Rainbow Rowell book, like it's messy, it's raw, it's unflattering at times. I just didn't think it was going to go in the direction that she took it. I didn't mind that their relationship was uncomfortable and sometimes they were snipping at each other and sometimes they were flirting with each other. And I was like, this seems real. But then she took it to another place where I thought, this is not at all the path I thought that we were on. And that was the part that bugged me.
Any last thoughts? I still gave it a 4.5. What did you guys rate it as?
I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 4 because I think it's really important and I want people to read it. And I didn't give it a 5. I could have given it a 5 and I didn't because I was pissed off about the romance journey. I love her writing. And in a way, when I give an author 5 stars, it's a way of me saying, like, you are amazing. But if I give this 5 stars, more people will see that and more people will consider reading it. And I thought about doing it, but I was really disappointed. And back to what Caitlin was saying earlier, the marketing of this is kind of a sham. And even the cover is hypersexual and it's meant to make you think it's going to be one thing. And great on her marketing team for knowing it would get attention on a shelf and attention on a table and that people will be like, ooh, this is probably saucy. And like it is at parts, but it didn't deliver for me emotionally on the romance side of things in the way that I would have needed to say it was a 5-star read.
And a lot of the book is sad. You know, she's like really going through it. Cherry, you're seeing Cherry cry for a lot of different reasons, coming from a lot of different people. So yeah, just kind of, I think if you go into it, I'm hopeful that this episode gives people the right headspace to go into reading this book, is kind of how I feel about it. What's everybody reading right now?
I just finished The Fall of Iris Henley by Jennifer Graham. It was on our YA table, and it's sort of like a murder mystery, and I just felt like I needed a little suspense and a little unpredictability, if you will. Iris is like the top flyer on her cheerleading team. Why did I just stick up my hand as if that?
You were spotting her?
So she's a Texas high school cheerleader, and 6 months prior, her boyfriend and her ex best friend died in what was ruled a murder suicide. And she kind of thought maybe he was cheating on her, but didn't think he was doing it with her ex best friend. And so now we are in her senior year, and it's the fall, football is happening, and there's like this like website called Secret, and on it people, anonymous accounts, can post whatever they want, and someone posts after a football game that she is a liar and she's the one who murdered them. And people just start jumping on the bandwagon and being like, I knew it, I knew, like, she couldn't possibly be like
Is
that.
this a TV show?
I don't think so. I think
Oh, there's some kind of cheerleading murder mystery show that has been suggested to me on Netflix before.
that's new.
No, like a year or two old, probably.
Cheerleader murder mystery. I feel like I would have watched that. American show?
I think so, yeah.
You have piqued my interest, so now I need to
Okay,
figure out
I'll
what that
look it up
is.
for you.
So basically her next door neighbor, who's like this nerdy kid who you're just immediately rooting from the beginning, like, could she please fall in love with him? He's like the only one who is like, I believe you. I know you wouldn't do that. I've known you
Oh,
since we were little. And so he's like helping her try to like figure out who the person is that wrote that initial post that led to like everyone saying horrible shit about her. And then she's also trying to figure out like she was hosting a cheerleading party at her house, but they drank heavy and she blacked out. Is it possible she could have murdered her boyfriend and ex-best friend? She doesn't think so. So it's just like a lot of untangling of what happened. It's a quick read, and I think it was just like what I needed in the moment. So
the
I
show.
love I just woke up and am I a murderer? I love that premise. We've read so many
I know, it's kind of fun.
we've read so many books like that and watched so many shows like that, and I feel like from the jump I'm like, okay, let's walk it back and see what happened.
The show is called Dare Me, and it's based off of a Meg Abbott book. 10 episodes on Netflix. Came out in 2020, apparently. It's a 10-episode drama. The show focuses on a high school cheerleading squad in a small town whose lives are upended by a new mysterious coach and a dark investigation involving secrets, bullying, and murder.
wait, who's in it? Did I watch this?
That sounds like something you would watch.
It does sound like something you would watch. I don't know any of the people in it. We'll talk later.
Color me intrigued. Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be your next show, probs. Molly, what are you reading right now?
I just finished Crash Test, which is a romance about two F1 drivers, Travis and Jacob. Stephanie gave this to me, and I had it on my bedside table for a while. And after I finished quite a serious book the other day, I was like, you know what?
Did I give that to you for Hanukkah?
I think so. I think it was one of my holiday gifts. I've had it for a while. I needed a palate cleanser after a very serious book, and I was like, I just need a romance. This is so Shane and Ilya coded in the best way.
Give it to me.
Like, one is more like menacey, teasing. One is more serious. There's a cabin involved. There's hiding their relationship from the two team principals. Like, it is so similar. So if you read the entire Game Changer series and you're like, I need more while we wait for book 7, Unrivaled, which should have been my birthday and is now coming out June 2027, you should read Crash Test. You do not need to know anything about F1 or racing to enjoy this. It really is about their relationship. It's about the people in their lives who want to help them be able to see each other in secret so that they can continue to build their relationship and also the people who try to tear them apart. There is a massive miscommunication, like 60% of the way in, which, as we know, happens in many a romance story, and they have to find their way back to each other. I was screaming, like, you idiot. And I couldn't wait to see how it was going to get back to where I needed it to be. I wanted to give this 5 stars, but I can't because I almost always save that for like capital L literature. This is 4 stars on Goodreads, 5 stars in my heart. And if you loved Shane and Ilya, you got to read this.
I saw an Instagram post recently. I can't remember the person. I wish I could give credit to her. And she said that we need to change the rating system. If a book makes you laugh, 5 stars. If a book makes you cry, 5 stars. If it keeps you up at night, 5 stars. So I feel like you could
edit my rating.
Yeah.
Listen, I like the 5 stars in the heart, 4 stars in terms of, because listen, some of the stuff that we read is predictable, but we still really love it. Some of it is not super well written, but the plot's really good. I can't give 5 stars to something that like is clunky. You know what I mean? It's written in a clunky way. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like John Krakauer is 5 stars. You know what I mean? I don't know that I can give somebody that was like a Wattpad writer that got like a publishing deal 5 stars. I just don't know that I can. I don't think my heart can take it. You know what I'm saying? Like as an English teacher, like I just don't think I can do it.
Disagreement for 1 second. You give me 5 stars, and I definitely didn't deserve it. So, liar, liar, pants on fire.
Your writing is good.
I thought you were about to contest giving 5 stars to Wattpad since so many of our favorite movies originated there.
Well, movies are different. All right, here's what I'm reading. I'm going to really dazzle everyone because I'm reading a nonfiction book. I'm listening to it. Here it is. It's called Rocket Men by Robert Kurson. My brother recommended this to me because I have been obsessed with Artemis 2. And I was like, I would like to read a book about space because I clearly don't really know anything about it. Because I said to him, and I'm going to admit this to everyone, I said to him, and I said this to my friends Margaret and Steph, does a space shuttle launch always end with an ocean landing? And the answer is usually. And I didn't know that. And I was like, I need more information. And I said to my brother, because he reads a lot of nonfiction, and I said to him, I remember you have read some space books in the last few years. Are any of them a little more narrative nonfiction that I would actually enjoy? Like, is there storytelling involved? Because I won't read it if there isn't. And he said, I have the perfect book for you. So I've started Rocket Men. It is fantastic. It is about Apollo 8 and the 3 astronauts that were on the Apollo 8 shuttle, which was the first shuttle to go past the moon, see the dark side of it, and come back. They had sent like a chimpanzee, I think, and like some other animals, and Russia had done a couple of things, but this was the first time men were on it. And the book gives a lot of backstory about each of the astronauts and how they arrived at being asked. It talks about a lot of the technical stuff. It talks about the timelines of the space race. It's really good. And the way that it's lining up with Artemis 2 and the way that it's like we're having political upheaval, we're having some war times, we're having some complicated stuff with countries that are similar to Russia, if not actually Russia. It's just the timing of it is like really cool, and listening to it is really cool because I feel like it feels like each chapter is kind of a podcast almost, and I'm getting this like timeline pieced together of Apollo 8. I didn't know anything about Apollo 8. I'm not gonna lie about it. I couldn't have even named that it was a shuttle. I couldn't have told you a single person on it. And now that I'm listening to this, I'm like, what a travesty that is. Like these people were so important to us landing on the moon that I can't believe I've never even heard of them. So I'm really enjoying it, and I am not a sciencey person. I'm not really a nonfiction person, and this is super enjoyable, super enlightening, and also it's like giving me a little bit of like the American pride that I've been feeling about Artemis 2. So that's been really nice because I haven't really been feeling super pro USA recently. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's historical, timely, kind of gets you in that like NASA mood, like this is for you.
Stephanie knows a lot about space, so I'd like to know how much of that you already knew.
I know she does. So does my other friend Steph. Steph's like space.
Listen, one of my tisms is clearly space.
It's okay. Have you heard of this book?
I haven't actually. And I was thinking to myself, that probably does read like a podcast, and I would enjoy the like that sort of, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I would be curious to know, do you know any of the people off the top of your head that were on Apollo 8?
Mm-mm.
Frank Borman is the one that I've learned about so far, and he is like
Okay.
a meticulous former military man, knows a lot about the engineering, and had absolutely no hopes or dreams of being an astronaut. He just wanted to like work for NASA and was like more of a pilot. And he gets roped into this like very short timeline turnaround for Apollo 8 because people know that he's like so awesome. And the whole reason he joined NASA is because he had a very distinct fear that Russia was going to be able to colonize outer space before us. And that was his whole. He did not care about landing on the moon. He didn't care about the prestige, the cars. He was like a family man. And he's the one that like steered this entire thing. It's very cool.
I just need to add the person that I was with this weekend at one point while we were walking on the sidewalk casually said to me that she doesn't believe we landed on the moon.
That there's a lot of that going around. It really started. I feel like I really started seeing people come out of the woodwork on that because some NBA players said that they thought the earth was flat, and they also said we didn't land on the moon. Kyrie Irving. So yeah, I will name names. It was Kyrie. And uh yeah, and then there's been other people that have come out and been like they think it's like a hoax. It's wild.
On that note, listeners, if you want to check out any of the books that we mentioned today, please join us on Instagram. We are at Plans Our Book. That's where we share all of the titles that we mention in every episode. And we share daily book recs and all kinds of other fun bookish content. So join us there. You can also write to us, plansairbooked@gmail.com. If you liked what you heard today, we would be so grateful if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps people find the show.
And until next time, our plans are booked.